I love it to bits, and I never thought that I would. What is up guys, Brando here, welcome to my channel. Today we are talking about the Garmin 245 Music. Alrighty then, where do we even start? Okay, this was my dilemma. A couple months back, I switched from iOS to Android. So I went from an iPhone to a Samsung Galaxy S20. And my biggest dilemma was my Apple Watch did not work on that phone, obviously. So I had to run out and look for something that's going to meet my demands with the fitness activities that I have, and as well as the communication alerts that I need on my little watch. So I decided to go with Garmin, and I think many of you are put into that position where if you have an iPhone, then you would gladly use an Apple Watch. And I'm an Apple Watch user since day one, from the first Apple Watch right up until the Series 5. So I really enjoyed it. I had no issues, loved it. But I also must admit that I got a bit bored with the same kind of design, the same kind of bands, and I didn't have any issues with it. Not a single problem with any of the models. And here I had to move on to another watch to accommodate the Samsung Galaxy S20. So my best bet was the Garmin 245 Music, and this is my full review on this baby. So let me just get it off my wrist, and that's something that you will hardly be doing. Number one, I love the battery life. The battery life on this unit is absolutely spectacular, and we actually owe that to this screen, which is going to be another point that I'm going to bring out. But let's talk about battery life. Now, coming from the Apple ecosystem, I was so used of every night pulling off my Apple Watch, putting it on charge, and basically using it the next day. I got used to it for many years. That's exactly what I did. I could not understand how they would eventually want us to use the Apple Watch throughout the night to get your sleep tracking, but I mean, it's not like it didn't work. But here we got a watch or a watch system via Garmin that gives you accurate sleep tracking through the night, because you're not removing this watch from your wrist. And when I mean you don't remove it from your wrist, I'm talking about battery life for up to 3 to 4 days with activities during the day. So I'm not talking about standby time. I'm talking about really having a long cycle, coming back, going for a jog in the afternoon. And if you guys want to follow me on Strava, please do. I got my account description down below. Follow me on Strava. Have a look at what I do fitness wise, so you will understand what I really push this watch through. This is the thing with this 245 Music. With the Wi-Fi on or the Wi-Fi off, it doesn't really make a difference. But it's good to have the music built in, which we'll get to that also, but it does not affect the battery life. Then we're going to move on to my second favorite thing about this, and it is the screen. And man, oh man, these guys got this paper-like translucent screen that reflects back at you when light is shone upon it. So here in the images, as you can see, it looks magnificent. So when you're out cycling, you in the car, you're running or whatever, you don't have to worry about the flick, you know, the flick. And I know Apple's got always on now, but how long is it going to last? How long does your battery really last? Plus, this reflective screen looks better than the screen when it's lit up. I mean, like, come on. Also, another thing we got to understand is that we don't have as much of watch faces and customization as you would have on your AMOLED screens and on your Apple Watch and Samsung, etc. Yes, I totally agree with that. But let's face it, how many of us have these fancy watches and sit the entire day and like want to change it and make it look fancy like a desktop monitor or whatever? I mean, come on, we're buying this to use as a daily use driver. We want important data and information to be shown on the screen, and we want it clear and clean looking. I don't know, if you want to put a whole lot of graphics on this thing and play games on it and whatever, then you're going for the wrong approach. These watches are meant to be versatile fitness workhorses. And yes, the screen does the job. Moving from Apple to this little 245, I'm not even talking about a Phoenix 245. The screen is magnificent. The third thing is it is super comfortable. It is super comfortable. So when you have it on your hand, you're going to be wondering, like, how am I not going to even remove this? And yeah, when you take a bath, you're going to remove it. You're going to remove it. I mean, come on, it's going to get off your hand, but you're going to put it back on. So the thing with this is that these silicone bands, the original silicone bands, feel magnificent. I've tried some generic bands and I bought them off Amazon and eBay and whatever, and they don't really feel as good as this. You also don't get any nasty smells, or you don't get any residue left behind. The bands stay clean, they fit well, they don't lose their tension. You also don't have the pinching effect on your wrist if you have hair on your wrist, which is quite important. I had that with one of the fake bands. You get the rubber pinching your hair and pulling it. Here you get nothing of that sort. Feels marvelous. Next is the build quality. And the build quality is Garmin build quality. They are good. These watches are robust. It is a composite plastic, and I say inverted commas, it is plastic. And I have no problem with plastic. At the end of the day, this watch now I've been using for a good couple of months, and I've put it through its paces. Running, swimming, cycling, whatever, going to work, crawling into ceilings, drilling, doing really stressful work and putting this watch to its limits. I don't think you're gonna have an issue with it suddenly breaking. What I do suggest is from day one, I actually put in a glass screen guard on it, so the glass does get scratched. Obviously, it's a piece of glass, it will get scratched, and I have not had any issue since. I mean, if it has to get scratched, I will pop it out, put a new one in, and we're done. The buttons engage almost to perfection. I mean, for the kind of entry-level watch, I mean, it's the Garmin 45 and then the 245. And for a kind of entry-level watch, the buttons engage and you don't have to worry about whether you did get contact or not. You can feel the engagement on every press. Whether you're pressing it for the light on and off, whether you are going through a menu, it's rather comfortable. They're big, it does not hurt your hands. Scroll through all of your data without missing or slipping. It works rather well. I mean, there was a Samsung that I tested that you didn't even know if you're running and you want to click the thing on or click it off. Yeah, you don't know whether it's clicking on or off, but this, you feel every engagement. Well done. And the last thing I will talk about is the music. So many of you would be thinking, should I go for the 245 music or slash Wi-Fi, or should I go for the normal bottom range unit? And I normally run with my phone in my pocket. I don't mind using my phone paired up to my earbuds. And here, I really enjoyed having the music on the unit. So you can store your own music via a click and drag via Garmin Express. You can have your music downloaded via Deezer or Spotify, or when you plug it in, it'll sync to Wi-Fi. But bear in mind that you have to have a Spotify subscription. So one of the downfalls is that if you don't have a Spotify or Deezer, or I think it's just one more, I forgot the other name of it, I'll look it up. But if you don't have the subscriptions for those apps, then you cannot use the Wi-Fi facility on it. Please know that. But you can click and drag from your normal computer or laptop, click and drag your music in, and you can use it license free. And it does work. It saves a lot of battery on your cell phone. Whereas here, it's really simple. You are going to just use the battery of the watch, which it doesn't really take much in any case. So whether you are thinking about switching over from Apple to Garmin, or whether you're going over from a Samsung watch or Huawei watch, you can't even compare them. Please, let's just get something straight here. You cannot compare a Huawei, a Samsung, and all these other funny Xiaomi brands to a Garmin or an Apple, Sunto, Polar. Those guys are top end. You cannot compare them to these workhorses. So yes, it's not a super fancy looking watch. It does not have all this premium build materials, but I love it to bits, and I never thought that I would. So if you are like me and you were in that predicament, you were looking at a 245, it does everything. What it cannot do, and this is the only gripe I have with it, this compared to the other normal features and metrics that can be applied onto the Phoenix range is you cannot use a power meter on this watch. So I was put in a situation where I had to have my Garmin Vectors paired to this watch so that I can get my power data here, and lo and behold, no, you cannot do it. You can only use 745 or the 945 and the Phoenix range. So, well, I guess you're gonna get what you pay for. I'm not really complaining. This watch was not that expensive, but for what it has and what it does, I think it is brilliant. Guys, I want to thank you for joining me in this video today. I hope that you really enjoyed it. Hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and it's a pleasure doing business with you. Ciao.